There is a report there on the news this evening, and I think it was in the newspaper there earlier on as well, about an attack, an alleged assault rather, on Roderic O'Gorman, the Minister for Children, and I think he's the leader of the Green Party. He apparently was on a door-to-door canvass in Blanchardstown, and he allegedly was assaulted. Now, it's an appalling scenario, an appalling situation that an elected representative, regardless of what party he's from, is in the course of fundamentally democratic activity, i.e. canvassing for votes in an upcoming general election, would be assaulted. Now, I do note that the allegation is of assault and that nobody has been convicted yet, but apparently a chap has been arrested and will be brought to court, district court, and prosecuted for whatever alleged wrongdoing may have occurred. But it's an appalling situation that in a democracy, in a parliamentary democracy, a person, no matter, as I say, what view they have, no matter what political view they have, whether it's right-wing or left-wing or independent or radical right or radical left or middle of the road or centrist, no matter what the view is, no matter what their political leaning is, that they could be assaulted whilst out canvassing. Assaulting somebody whilst canvassing is the antithesis of a democratic act. And in my view, it's a kind of a frightening thing, kind of a scary thing in any democracy, any parliamentary democracy, that people feel emboldened to actually assault a person who's prepared to put themselves forward for election and is prepared to work for the community. Now, I'm not foolish. I'm very much aware of the misinformation that has been spread online on various social media websites over the last number of years about certain individuals, and especially about Roderic O'Gorman. And the people who have spread the information or the misinformation and the disinformation and the downright lies, in my view, bear some responsibility for the assault, because those people have created the conditions which lead others to act foolishly and stupidly, and who feel emboldened by the misinformation, by the nonsense that has been spread online, as I say, for a number of years on various social media sites. I have no great supporter of Roderic O'Gorman or any other politician for that matter, but I do recognise when a person is genuine and doing their best and so on and so forth. But the idea that somehow or other it's acceptable for a person putting themselves forward for election to serve the community, that somehow it's acceptable to assault such a person, is absolute nonsense. And as I say, my view is that the misinformation that has been spread over the last number of years has contributed greatly to this sort of feral environment. And it is an appalling situation. People are entitled to criticise politicians. People are entitled to take different views. People are entitled to put themselves forward for election on all sorts of platforms with which we don't agree. But people are not entitled to take the law into their own hands and think that it's acceptable to assault a person, a politician, or indeed anybody who has different views to us and who are putting themselves forward for a general election. as candidates in a general election. And remember, if politicians are assaulted whilst running for general election, running for any election, even local councillors and so on, if politicians are assaulted, that's not just an assault on a politician. It's an assault on all of us. It's an assault on our democracy. It's an assault on our country. It's an assault on the parliamentary democracy that we have in this country. And it is unacceptable. And unfortunately, the feverish, feral environment that's been created over the last number of years with misinformation, disinformation, and bullshit, quite frankly, on social media, has a lot to, has had a massive role to play in this. And that is unfortunate. So I would hope that this video may not persuade many people. This video may well antagonize people. But if this video gets one or two people to actually think about the significance of a person putting themselves forward for election in a general election, or indeed any election, the significance of that person being assaulted whilst going around door to door on a Saturday morning, canvassing, asking for votes, seeking to persuade, seeking to make the country a better place. If anybody thinks that that's acceptable, if anybody thinks that it's unacceptable for an assault to happen in such circumstances, and if this video in any way contributes to a person having a view that no, we can't go down that road, then this video will be worth it from my perspective. I've no doubt that there are a certain number of people, probably a minority to be honest about it, who will be triggered by the video, triggered by the notion that we can't somehow or other take direct action against people with whom we don't agree. But as I say, it's a very, very slippery road, very, very slippery road indeed that we're heading down if we somehow or other normalise assaulting politicians. Indeed, it's a slippery slope if we normalise assaulting anybody. But there is something fundamental, something seminal about assaulting a politician whilst running for election and coming up to what is probably going to be the announcement of a general election this week in the Dáil, or next week, or whenever it is. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. And as I say, if it persuades one person that the road that we're going down with that sort of carry on, if I can persuade one person, that's enough. It's worth my while making the video whilst unpacking the dishwasher. Hope you like it. Thanks a lot.